Picture this, folks. You and your best friend, right? You share snacks, you watch movies, you generally have each other's backs. Then one day, your friend decides that every time you bring over your famous cookies, you have to pay them a cookie entrance fee. Suddenly things are a little awkward. That's kind of what's happening in the world of international trade, specifically between the United States and Japan. These two are major global players, usually on the same team. But recently, the US has been hitting Japan with tariffs, which are basically import taxes. It's like a surprise fee on goods coming into the country, and it's causing some serious economic heartburn over in Tokyo. For Japanese businesses trying to sell their products in America, these tariffs mean their goods become more expensive. This can make it harder to compete. Consumers in the US might end up paying more, or they might just buy something else. Either way, Japanese companies can feel the pinch. And that's never good for business. So, what does Japan do? Well, they're not just sitting around hoping the cookie fees go away. The Japanese government, led by Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, has decided to step in. They've announced a hefty emergency relief package. We're talking about 900 billion yen, which is roughly $6.3 billion. The plan is to use this money to help cushion the blow for Japanese businesses and households struggling with the effects of these US tariffs. This whole situation isn't happening in a vacuum, of course. The global economy is a complicated beast, always shifting and changing. Japan's move to inject $6.3 billion into its economy is a significant response. Alright, so Japan is rolling out this massive $6.3 billion emergency plan. The government has specific ideas about where this money needs to go to do the most good. The main goal is to soften the economic punch delivered by those US tariffs. One of the headline items in this relief package is help with utility costs. By allocating funds to mitigate rising utility costs, the government is trying to provide some breathing room. Another major focus of this multi-billion-dollar plan is providing financial aid to smaller firms. These are the mom-and-pop shops, the local manufacturers, the innovative startups. Unlike giant corporations, smaller businesses often don't have huge cash reserves or the ability to easily absorb sudden new costs like tariffs. Beyond these two big areas, utility costs and small business aid, the package is designed to be an emergency response. The core idea is to provide targeted relief where it's needed most to counteract the negative impacts of the tariffs. So, Japan's got this $6.3 billion plan. But the next question is always, where's the money coming from? It's not like Prime Minister Ishiba found it under a giant tatami mat. The Japanese government has indicated that this emergency relief package will be financed primarily using state funds. This means tapping into the national piggy bank, so to speak. More specifically, the plan is to utilize a combination of budget reserves and existing budgets. Think of budget reserves as a national rainy day fund. Using these reserves means they don't necessarily have to raise taxes immediately or cut other essential services drastically, at least in the short term. The government is also looking at reallocating funds from existing budgets, which might mean some non-critical projects get paused or scaled back to free up cash for this urgent tariff relief. The timeline for this is quite swift, which underscores the emergency nature of the package. Helping the little guys. Support for small businesses and soaring bills. When we talk about economic shocks like new tariffs, it's often the smaller businesses that get hit the hardest. Large multinational corporations might have diverse markets, deep pockets, and teams of lawyers and lobbyists to navigate these things. But the local ramen shop, the small auto parts supplier, or the family-owned textile company, they usually don't have those kinds of resources. That's why a significant portion of Japan's $6.3 billion relief package is specifically aimed at these smaller firms. The kind of financial aid these smaller businesses might receive can vary. It could come in the form of direct subsidies to help offset the increased costs caused by tariffs on imported materials or components, or perhaps low-interest loans to help them invest in new equipment or find alternative suppliers. There might also be grants for businesses looking to adapt their models, maybe to focus more on the domestic market or explore new export destinations not affected by these specific US tariffs. The goal is to provide a lifeline to prevent these vital enterprises from going under due to circumstances largely outside their control. Then there's the issue of utility costs, which we touched on earlier. This isn't just a business problem, it hits households directly too. The relief package aims to mitigate these rising utility costs. Prime Minister Ishiba's big move politics, economics, and a whole lot of yen. This $6.3 billion relief package isn't just an economic policy, it's also a significant political move for Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. When a country faces an external economic shock like these US tariffs, the public looks to its leadership for solutions. Prime Minister Ishiba and his government are stepping up with a substantial financial commitment. This demonstrates that they are taking the issue seriously and are willing to deploy considerable resources to protect Japanese businesses and citizens. The political context in Japan, like in any democracy, involves balancing various interests and pressures. Announcing a decisive relief package can bolster public confidence in the government's ability to manage the economy. For Prime Minister Ishiba, this is an opportunity to project competence and a commitment to national interests. Connecting this economic relief to a broader political strategy is key. The ripple effect, long-term hopes and economic dreams. The immediate goal of Japan's $6.3 billion plan is clear: put out the fires. They want to stabilize businesses that are suddenly facing higher costs or reduced access to the US market. They aim to keep people employed by preventing these businesses from having to make drastic cuts. And of course, they want to control the inflationary pressure that can come from things like rising utility costs, which can squeeze household budgets. Looking beyond the immediate crisis, there are hopes for more positive long-term effects if this relief package is implemented successfully. For instance, the financial aid to smaller firms might not just be about survival. It could also spur innovation. Perhaps some businesses will use the support to retool, to find new, more efficient ways of operating, or to diversify their product lines. Not so fast, hurdles, headaches, and what could go wrong. Now, whenever a government announces a big spending plan, even one with good intentions like Japan's $6.3 billion tariff relief, there are always going to be questions and potential criticisms. One of the first that often comes up is it enough? While $6.3 billion sounds like a colossal sum, the actual economic impact of widespread US tariffs could be even larger depending on their scope and duration. Some critics might argue that the package is a good start, but more might be needed if the trade friction persists or escalates. Others might question if the funds are targeted precisely enough to reach those most in need. Then there are the practical challenges of implementation. Rolling out a multi-billion-dollar relief package efficiently and effectively is a massive undertaking. There's bureaucracy to navigate, applications to process, and mechanisms needed to ensure the money gets to the intended recipients, the struggling small businesses and households, without undue delay, or worse, ending up in the wrong hands. Preventing fraud and ensuring transparency in how these public funds are distributed will be a significant hurdle for Prime Minister Ishiba's government. It's one thing to announce the money, it's another to make it work on the ground.